So today we are going to discuss about the energetics and every process in this universe, whether in living cells or test tubes, in the atmosphere, in the water, implies a change of energy. Some processes release energy and others require energy, but in all these cases the total amount of the energy remains unchanged. So, the study of energy changes associated with all types of physical and chemical changes is known as energetics. So, energetics, we basically study about the energy changes, and that could be physical or chemical changes. Energy in chemical reactions. The energy in the form of heat is either evolved or absorbed as a result of chemical reaction. This is because in chemical reaction old bonds are broken and new bonds are formed. Bond breaking always consumes energy and bond making always releases energy. When the energy released by bond formation is greater than the energy consumed by bond breaking, there is a net transfer of chemical energy from system to surrounding. Whereas energy is transferred from surrounding to system when the energy consumed by bond breaking is greater than the energy released by the bond formation. Thus, in a chemical reaction, energy transfers occurs between a system and surrounding. So they are saying that when the energy released by bond formation is greater than the energy consumed, so there is a transfer of heat from system to surrounding. Because the energy is releasing, so heat always goes from the energy always goes from system to surrounding. And when the absorption is increased, the bond breaking process, the energy absorption is high, then there is a transfer of energy from the surrounding to system, Then we have the units of thermal energy. So the unit of thermal energy or the unit of heat is joule. Thermal energy is the energy in an object or system due to the movement of its molecules and atoms. Another common unit of heat is calorie, and it is defined as the heat or thermal energy required to raise the temperature of 1 gram of water from 14.5 degree to 15.5 degree C. So the heat or thermal energy that is required to raise the temperature of 1 gram of water. So the temperature is increasing, and from which values 14.5 to 15.5. 1 calorie is equal to 4.18 joule. 4.18 joule. Now we are going to discuss the thermochemical reactions. When a chemical change takes place, energy is exchanged between system and surroundings. Energy has many forms like heat, light, work. A chemical reaction which proceeds with the evolution or absorption of heat is called thermochemical reaction. A balanced chemical equation which also shows heat change of a chemical reaction is thermochemical equation. The branch of chemistry which deals with the heat or thermal energy change is called thermochemistry. So example here is C plus O2 gives us CO2, and there is a release of energy that is minus 393.5 kilojoule. There are two types of thermochemical reaction: exothermic reaction and endothermic reaction. Exothermic reaction that proceeds with the evolution of heat. Heat is transferred from the system to the surroundings. Like we have the burning of fuel. It's a highly exothermic process, and it is denoted by the negative sign. When we write the amount of energy, we will always use the negative sign with that. Here we have the three examples: carbon plus oxygen, hydrogen plus oxygen, and carbon plus half molecule of oxygen. So in the first one we got CO2, second one 2H2, and the third one we got carbon monoxide, and del H naught for CO2 reaction is minus 393.5, for H2O is minus 571.6, and for carbon monoxide we have minus 110.5 kilojoule. Now we have the endothermic reactions that proceed with the absorption of heat, and heat is transferred from surrounding to the system. Example are hydrogen iodide formation, carbon monoxide and hydrogen gas formation, and nitrogen monoxide formation. All these three processes are endothermic processes. In the first one we absorb the amount of heat that is 53.8. In the second one plus 131.4, and in the third one plus 180.5 kilojoule. So the concept assessment: freezing of water is a exothermic reaction, combustion of methane is an exothermic, sublimation of ice is endothermic, conversion of gaseous water into liquid state is exothermic, and decomposition of limestone is also endothermic process. Now we will talk about the heat of reaction. The amount of energy released or absorbed depends on the amount of substances that react. So for example, as more fuel burns, more energy is released. So the amount of heat evolved or absorbed in a chemical reaction when molar quantities of reactants and products are same, as shown in the chemical reaction, is the heat of reaction. The molar quantities of reactant and products the constant remains the same, and there is evolution and absorption of heat. So it's a heat of reaction. Heat of reaction measured at 25 degrees C and at 1 atmospheric pressure is standard enthalpy change. At 25 degrees C of temperature and 298 Kelvin of temperature and 1 atmospheric pressure, 1 atm pressure, and it is the standard enthalpy change and is denoted by del H naught. Carbon plus oxygen gives us CO2, and del H naught for that is heat change or the heat of reaction is minus 393.5 kilojoule. This equation shows that 1 mole of solid carbon reacts with 1 mole of oxygen to give 1 mole of carbon dioxide at 25 degrees C and 1 atmospheric pressure, and 393.5 kilojoule of heat is evolved. Now we have another reaction, that is H2 plus I2 gives us 2HI. Del H naught is equal to plus 53.8 kilojoule. Here we can see that it's an endothermic reaction. So if the reaction is exothermic when going in one direction, it will be endothermic in the reverse direction. When a reaction is reversed, the magnitude of del H naught remains the same, but its sign changes. For example, when we convert the carbon dioxide into carbon and oxygen, we will get the same amount of energy. We will absorb the same amount of energy, but with the opposite sign. Like in the exothermic we have minus 393.5, in the endothermic we have plus 393.5 kilojoule. Same is the case with the hydrogen iodide breakage. So when the bond breaks, so it will definitely convert into the hydrogen plus iodine. So it's a exothermic process. So minus 53.8 kilojoule of energy is released. Okay. Now moving on to the next topic. So here the question arises, why energy is absorbed although bond is breaking. So we know that when the bond breaks, so there is energy that we need to absorb some energy, and a molecule need to absorb the energy. So that is why it's happening. Now we have the next topic, that is relation between enthalpy change and heat of reaction or heat of combustion of a reaction. So what is the relationship between the enthalpy change and heat of reaction? So the relationship is basically the del H is equal to H products minus H reactants. The difference between the enthalpies of products and enthalpies of reactants. Final state minus initial state. The enthalpy change of a reaction can be positive or negative depending upon the process. For an exothermic process in which heat is released by the system to the surrounding. Del H is negative. For endothermic process, when heat is absorbed by the system from the surrounding, del H is positive. So standard state standard enthalpy changes. So we have some standard states and conditions. So standard state for a gas is 1 atm. Standard state for an element is 1 atm and 25 degrees C, and standard state for substance is 1 molar concentration. Standard enthalpy of reaction, which is represented by del H R naught. The enthalpy change in a chemical reaction when reactants and products are in their standard state and their molar quantities are same as shown by the balanced chemical equation, standard enthalpy of reaction. So 2H2 plus O2 gives us 2H2O. So its bond is making, so the energy is released in minus 57.6 kilojoule. Then we have the two examples as well in which the energy is releasing. Okay, so enthalpy change in a chemical reaction when reactants and products are in their standard states, molar quantities are same, and there is some kind of change is happening, change in the heat, their heat changes, their energy changes that are happening. So it's a standard enthalpy of reaction. Now we will discuss the standard enthalpy of formation. It is defined as the enthalpy change that accompanies the formation of 1 mole of a compound from its elements with all substances in their standard states. So it is basically the formation of a compound from the elements. Enthalpy of formation is formation of a compound from the elements, from the individual elements. So like we have the H2 plus half O2 gives us H2O. So minus 285.8 kilojoule per mole of energy is releasing. So the compound water is forming. The next one SO3 is forming, and then last one we have the hydrogen peroxide that is forming. So the compounds are forming, so there is always a release of energy. So there are different enthalpies of some compounds, that is in kilojoule per mole. Now we have standard enthalpy of combustion, del H naught C. So it's basically an enthalpy change when 1 mole of a substance is completely burnt in excess of oxygen under standard conditions. It's an enthalpy of combustion. So enthalpy of combustion is the example here is of carbon plus oxygen gives us CO2, so 393.5 kilojoule per mole, and in the other example we have CO2 and water, and the next one we have H2O. So it's a thermochemical equations. I don't think so it's related with the enthalpy of combustion, but the enthalpy of combustion is very high and they show the higher values of the energy changes. Now we have the standard enthalpy of atomization. The enthalpy change when 1 mole of gaseous atoms are formed from its elements under standard conditions. So atomization is dealing with the individual atoms. Like 1 by 2 H2 gives us hydrogen, that is individual atom, and 1 by 2 Cl2 is giving us chlorine. So it's basically here the bond is breaking and there is absorption of heat. So from these positive and negative signs we can tell that if the bond is forming or the bond is breaking. Standard enthalpy of neutralization is basically neutralization when there is involvement of any salt in the chemical reaction. So it is defined as the amount of heat evolved when 1 mole of hydrogen ions form an acid combined with 1 mole of hydroxyl ions from the base to form 1 mole of water under standard conditions. So when an acid and base combines, there is a formation of salt and water, and the amount of heat changes that are involved there are going to be the standard enthalpy of neutralization. Like we have the example of NaOH and HCl, which gives us NaCl and water, and the heat of neutralization will be minus 57.4 kilojoule per mole. So basically all these are all the um, heat and standard enthalpy of a reactions, but we just change the name according to the specific reaction. So there is ionization, NaOH plus HCl, so they just get into the Na positive and Cl negative ions plus H2O and H2O, or there is ionization of H2O, that is in the H positive plus OH negative gives us H2O. Now we have the standard heat of solution. If the enthalpy change when 1 mole of a substance is dissolved in so much of the solvent that further dilution results in no detectable change under standard condition. NH4Cl in the presence of water gives us ions NH4 positive and a anion, that is Cl minus. HCl gives us H positive plus Cl negative. So in the first reaction there is breakage of bond, and there is always the absorption of heat, so plus 15.1. but the second case we have the, in the case of HCl, so we have minus 75, so they have written it in the negative term, in the negative with the negative sign, so it means that energy is releasing. So I think it depends on the on reaction to reaction, that if the energy is absorbing or releasing, so we have to look at the sign to know that if it's an endothermic process or exothermic process. So it's basically heat of standard enthalpy solution is all about the solution when solute is added into the solvent. Now we have standard enthalpy of first electron affinity. The energy released when 1 mole of gaseous atoms gains an electron to form 1 mole of Gaussian ion with single negative charge under standard condition. Like we have the example of chlorine when it gains an electron. So basically electron affinity is the ability of an atom to add an electron. The energy released when an electron is added to the gaseous atom. So chlorine plus 1 electron gives us Cl minus. So it gains an electron and give us Cl negative, and the electron affinity enthalpy will be minus 349 kilojoule per mole. Now we will know that what is the latest energy. The energy released when 1 mole of an ionic compound is formed from the constituent gaseous ions, when 1 mole of an ionic compound. So latest energy is all about the ionic compounds. Na positive plus Cl negative gives us NaCl, and the enthalpy change will be minus 787 kilojoule per mole. So we just name these different kinds of enthalpy energies according to the specific reaction. Now we have the important topic for today, that is bond energy. When a chemical reaction occurs, old bonds are formed and new are made. So they are saying those things again what we have discussed. So what is bond energy? It's the amount of energy released when 1 mole of neutral atom form a bond. So when a neutral atom form a bond, there is always the amount of energy that is released. So it's a bond energy. So there is two types of energy, that is bond dissociation energy and the bond formation energy, bond energy. The dissociation is basically the bond breakage, so the energy is always absorbed, and bond formation energy is released. So here we have some calculations regarding to this. Bond energy of hydrogen is 436 kilojoule per mole and of chlorine is 243 kilojoule per mole. So 436 plus 242 is equal to 2 into bond energy of HCl. So basically we are getting the sum of the total energy released absorbed in bond breaking is equal to total energy released in bond formation, bond dissociation energy of hydrogen plus bond dissociation energy of chlorine is equal to 2 bound energy of HCl. So 436 for the hydrogen and 442 for the chlorine. It will give 679, and when we divide it by 2 we get 339 kilojoule per mole of energy. And the theoretical one and the actual one, that actual is the when we calculated it experimentally, 431.5 kilojoule. So there is an energy difference between the theoretical and experimental values. Because of the unequal distribution of electron pairs, there is a difference in the electronegativity values as well, and there are various factors that can contribute to that. So we can calculate the bond energies for other elements, for other reactions as well. Now the calculation of bond for the enthalpy of reaction, bond energy for the enthalpy of reaction. So here we have written for the CH4 gives us 4H plus carbon, del H naught is plus 1662 kilojoule. So we have to divide it by 4, and because 4 mole of CH are broken, so we get positive 415.5 kilojoule per mole of the energy. Now we will discuss that what are the variabilities that are present in bond energies. Some bond energies are relatively well defined and precise, others are approximate and vary on the specific molecules. For simple diatomic molecules such as hydrogen, oxygen, nitrogen and chlorine, binding energies can be considered relatively accurate. This is because they are made up of identical atoms, and bond dissociation energy is same for every bond in the molecule. For example, the bond energy for hydrogen is 436 kilojoule. So, but in complex molecules, they're in the different environments, binding energies can be approximate. This is because the bond strength can be affected by factors such as neighboring atoms, molecular geometry, inductive effects of functional groups. So, inductive effect is basically the when there we can simply say that some groups are attached with a group. Okay, then there is a molecule and some functional group is attached with it that can contribute to the pulling of electrons from that molecule. The inductive effect might be minus I or plus I. So due to inductive effect, that group can give the electron to the molecule or can withdraw the electrons. So there are electron donating and electron withdrawing groups present with the molecules, so they are contributing towards the inductive effect. For example, the carbon-carbon bond energy in ethane can be considered approximate because it depends on the specific isomer, that is linear branch, and general structure of the molecule. Similarly, the binding energy of carbon-hydrogen bond can vary depending on the chemical environment and the molecule in question. So when they are different molecules, so there are various factors that are contributing, and it is in the carbon-carbon bonds we have linear structures, we have branch structures, we have different structures for the organic compounds, and the bond energy is always approximate. So for example, they are talking about the hydroxyl bond as well, that is different in different compounds. For example, methanol is different, in the water is different. So hydroxyl OH bond energy is dependent on the molecule it is attached with. Now we have the topic heat and temperature. Okay. Heat is a form of energy. When we boil water in cooking utensil, the lid of the cooking utensil will jump off in there after being heated for some time. So what causes it to jump off? So there is always a mechanical energy that causes it to jump off, and where this energy comes from, this comes from the heat. So the law of conservation of energy state energy cannot be produced in any physical or chemical process, and it can only be changed from one form to another form. For example, we have different forms of energy: light energy, mechanical energy, chemical, thermal, nuclear, and magnetic. Heat is all the energy produced by the movement of molecules. Heat is a form of energy. When a body absorbs heat, it becomes hotter, and when it releases heat, it becomes colder. The impact of heat on a body is indicated by its temperature. Temperature refers to the intensity of a heat of body. Heat is a form of energy, and temperature and is a measure of that energy. So it is measured in the units of energy. SI unit of heat is joule, and it is also measured in calories. So it's basically heat is basically sometimes they take it as the temperature change, and sometimes it is a energy change. So joule, calorie, it's all the units of heat. Temperature is a measure of average kinetic energy of the molecules. It describes the hotness or coldness of the object. The amount of heat absorbed by the body directly proportional to the temperature change. SI unit of temperature is Kelvin, and it is also measured in Fahrenheit and Celsius scale. So we are basically heat and temperature we are discussing. So we discussed both. The heat of substance depends on factors such as particle velocity, size, velocity, speed, size, and number of the particles. You can understand this difference from the following example. If we fill the jar and the glass completely and measure the temperature of the water in both containers, the water temperature in both containers is the same. But because there are more water molecules in the jar, the water in the jar has more heat or thermal energy. So the amount of heat absorbed by a substance is proportional to the temperature change. Q is directly proportional to the del T. Heat capacity multiplied by del T. Heat capacity is a proportionality constant, and it is equal to heat divided by del T. Heat capacity is equal to heat divided by del T. So amount of heat required to raise the temperature of given amount of substance by 1 Kelvin is the heat capacity, and is expressed in joules per Kelvin. That is required to change the temperature, to raise the temperature of a given amount of substance by 1 Kelvin. So it's the heat capacity, and we also studied the definition of calorie. That is also the amount of heat that is required to raise the temperature of a given amount of substance. Okay, so these definitions are interrelated. The amount of heat required to raise the temperature of 1 gram of a substance by 1 Kelvin is the specific heat capacity. So 1 gram of a substance by 1 Kelvin. In the above definition, we given amount of substance. In this definition, we have 1 gram of a substance. So it's a specific amount. So it's a specific heat capacity, and it is expressed in joules per gram per Kelvin. Specific heat capacity is equal to heat divided by mass into del T. Heat is equal to specific heat capacity into mass into del T. Q is equal to M, which is a specific heat capacity, which is a mass multiplied by specific heat capacity, which is C multiplied by del T. So here is a numerical. Specific heat capacity of copper is 0.387, and molar heat capacity of copper is given. So we have to multiply this with the mass of the copper, that is 63.54, and we will get 24.59 joule per mole per Kelvin of the heat capacity. Now what is how to measure the heat of reaction? The device that measures heat flow is calorimeter. Calorimeter measures the release from a system either at constant pressure or constant volume. So there are two types of calorimeters. Constant pressure calorimeter. So Q is equal to M into C into del T. So mass of the reactant C is a specific heat, and del T is a change in the temperature. So calorimeter, inside the calorimeter the pressure is constant, and we fill the calorimeter with the thing that for which we have to measure the heat capacity. So coffee cup calorimeter is basically used. So here is a long numerical, that is when 50 centimeter cube of 1.0 molar NaOH neutralizes 50 centimeter cube of 1.0 molar HCl at 25 degrees C. The temperature rises from 25 to 31.9. Calculate the heat of neutralization. So we have to calculate the heat of neutralization for this acid base reaction. Q is equal to m into C into del T. Volume 50 centimeter of NaOH and 50 centimeter of HCl. So total volume will be 100 centimeter cube. Density of water is fixed, that is 1 gram per centimeter cube. Total mass of reaction mixture will be 100 into density, which is 100 grams. Mass basically we can calculate by multiplying the volume with the density. So we got 100 gram. Raise in temperature del T is equal to 31.9 minus 25, which is 6.9 degrees C, and when we will say that it's in the Kelvin, we can write 6.9 K. Now putting all these values into that equation, that is Q is equal to m into C into del T. 100 into 4.2 multiplied by 6.9, that is 2.9 to the power 3. Number of moles of NaOH molarity into volume divided by 1000, that is 0.05, and of HCl is also 0.05. So now we have to write the moles and the molar heat capacity, that is 2.9 into 10 to the power 3 joule. Formation of 1 mole of water will release 2.9 to 10 to the power 3 divided by 0.05. So we divided that heat capacity with the number of moles, and we got 5.8 into 10 to the power 4 joule per mole, 58.0 kilojoule per mole. So heat of neutralization will be 58.0 kilojoule per mole. And this is the reaction. In this reaction, the products are forming, so we have the release of energy, so it is denoted with the negative sign.